If there's an action that you can do, that is the most powerful learning experience for an exposure. But sometimes what makes you nervous are the thoughts themselves. So especially with generalized anxiety disorder, I'm worried about the future.
Mm.
I can't do
Mm.
an exposure to the future. So when it's a thought that sets off your anxiety, the way we do exposures is we repeat that thought over and over and over again until it gets boring. So if they're constantly worried that the car is going to break down, they have to repeat the car is going to break down, the car is going to break down, the car is going to break down until that thought gets boring. So
Wow,
yeah,
that sounds like counterintuitive to me.
yeah, and it's counterintuitive to many parents because one, they are used to when their child comes to them with a worry, they respond with reassurance, like we
Mhm.
all do.
Yeah.
It's a normal thing to do. When their child comes to them with a fear that clearly is not going to happen and is not rational, they respond with kind of rational response that this won't happen because of this and that. Again, a very reasonable approach. And then also there's this general idea of like sort of positive affirmations and positive
Mhm.
power of positive things. And so for probably those three reasons, repeating scary thoughts is counterintuitive for people.
Uh-huh.
We don't just repeat bad thoughts. We are focused on thoughts that make you nervous because thoughts are just thoughts. Thoughts cannot hurt you. They can't make you do things you don't want to do. They don't make things come true. And any thought that you repeat over and over again, especially out loud, becomes pretty boring pretty quickly.
Oh.
And so the goal is for kids to learn when they're out and about and they sit down to take a test and they have this thought, I'm going to fail. Rather than that thought being overwhelming, the thought's sort of uncomfortable, but it's not that big a deal because they've had that thought so often and they've repeated it that it's just sort of lost its power. So rather than making them overwhelmed with anxiety, it's just sort of mildly irritating and they can push through. So for separation anxiety, we depends, again, what makes kids nervous. We might start with uh, child sitting in the group room while their parent leaves. If that tends to kind of be the lowest level, the easiest exposure they can do. If they feel uncomfortable around other people, then maybe we would have them sit in a room by themselves and their parents step out. Um, One way that we help kids take small steps is to have parents check in on them frequently.
Mhm.
Let's say they're generally fine with separation during the day, but at night they're either nervous or don't want to go to bed or just want that extra attention. So it's hard for them to be in the room by themselves. What happens is parents put them down, then they cling or they call out, and parents come and quiet them down, or they come out and say they're anxious or upset, and parents calm them down, quiet them down, get them back in bed. And so what happens is kids are getting a lot of attention for when they call out and are upset. And when they are lying in bed quietly, they're ignored, which is the traditional, normal way that it goes. But when kids are struggling, that parents' attention is unfortunately making the problem worse rather than making it better. So we try to shift that by having parents check on their kids while they're quiet. So you just explain, I'm going to check on you frequently. You need to stay in bed quietly. And if you are, I know it's hard, so I'm going to check on you a lot. And you close the door, you count to 5, you open it right back up and say you're doing a great job being quiet. So you reinforce them with your attention and support
Mm.
before they even have a
Mhm.
chance to call out. And then as perhaps very gradually extend it so that you wait 20 seconds before you go in again, 30 seconds, kind of extend it throughout that night, and probably have to do it multiple nights. It's not a problem you can probably fix in just one sitting. But the general idea is if you're quiet and being brave and calmly facing your fears, I'll give you attention and check on you. But if you're calling out, I'm going to ignore you till you're quiet, and then I'll come in after you're quiet.